If you're an introvert, I can almost guarantee that you've thought about the idea of being alone or being lonely and the difference between the two. Whether you knew that you are alone and you were okay with it and you were happy being by yourself, or whether you were trying to figure out if you were also lonely in this alone time. I think introverts, we always think about this. I know it's something that I always think about because sometimes you feel like you're supposed to have at all times, someone to accompany you and talk to. And when you don't have that, sometimes you might feel a little bit lonely, but are you really? I don't really know. That's something that I try to figure out all the time. And that's something I kind of want to jump into this podcast episode with a bit of a story. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before I get into the episode today, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. And one of those things has to do with the fact that I feel like I've been a bit inconsistent with my podcast in the last few weeks. I'll say a couple weeks. I've been traveling. I have been out of town, not in my normal environment where I record podcasts and my little TikTok videos and things like that. So it's kind of been a little bit difficult for me to stay focused on that. And I really just want to jump back into it. I plan to get right back on track with that because I'm back in town, back in my normal environment. That's what I've been doing. I took a 7-hour road trip. I drove myself to a different state to visit family for some family functions and things like that. And I was actually really proud of myself because that was a huge jump out of my comfort zone. Driving 7 hours. I mean, the longest I've ever driven was like an hour and a half. Actually, no, it was 3 hours, but that was a couple of years ago. A 7-hour road trip was a little bit daunting for me, but I finally did it, got over that fear, and it was really cool. I actually really enjoyed the road trip, a solo road trip by myself, listening to my own music, listening to some podcasts, listening to the Wheels on the Road occasionally, talking to myself occasionally. But it was honestly a really smooth trip, and it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that was really cool. But as I was saying, I was out of town, so I was not in my normal environment, and it was really difficult for me to sit down and just record an episode and stay focused on the topic without, my eyes wandering around the room because I'm not in the room that I'm usually in, and I see different things, and I'm like, I don't know. It was really hard, but I'm back where I'm usually recording a podcast episode, and I feel a little bit more focused on it. So I plan to get right back on track. Also, somebody recently on one of my TikTok posts asked if I was considering having guests on the podcast. And this is actually something that I did consider while creating the podcast idea. Maybe I should have some guests on and talk about their experiences and everything like that. And I think that is something that I would definitely consider for the future. I think it's a great thing to have other outside perspectives other than my own, to see other people's struggles or the things that other people had to work through, and sharing those introverted experiences, just to know that, you're not alone as an introvert. And it is something that I definitely want to consider for the future. I am considering for the future for my podcast. The main goal for my podcast when I started it was kind of to be a solo podcast. Not to say that having guests on would ruin that in any way. I just think that as an introvert, I feel a lot like I'm on the outside listening in to other people's conversations. Not in a eavesdropping type of way. I just mean I'm never really in the conversation. I'm always on the outside of the conversation. And when I'm listening to a podcast with maybe 2 or more people, I feel that same way. And I don't feel as engaged in the podcast. And when I'm listening to a podcast where it's just one person talking about their experiences, I feel really engaged in the podcast and really connected with that person. And I kind of wanted that vibe with my podcast because that's the main goal of my podcast, to relate to you if you need someone to relate to, because that's why I created the podcast. That's what I needed when I was living at college and it was, really lonely and I didn't really have anyone to relate to. I didn't think anyone was having an experience like mine. And I really would have loved a podcast to listen to that people were sharing experiences that I could relate to. And that's kind of the goal of my podcast. And that's the goal that I continue to have. I was also considering the idea of maybe doing something that could engage the listener a little bit more, because when I'm, going through my podcast analytics and things, I just see numbers. I don't really know who's listening to my podcast, and I would really love to engage the listener just a little bit more. So maybe doing things like polls where I ask you questions and then I go over those questions in the podcast, or we do a Q&A session where I answer some questions that you have for me, or I ask you questions and share your answers and kind of go over your answers. But anyway, let's get into the actual topic for today. I wanted to talk about how I recently spent my birthday by myself. My birthday was a couple days ago. By the time I post this, probably several days ago, I planned on celebrating my birthday by myself. And some people might be like, why would you want to do that? That's kind of sad. That's kind of like lonely. Why would you do that? Like, why would you want to spend your birthday by yourself? That's when you're supposed to, invite friends and invite a bunch of people and throw yourself a party, or have someone throw you a party, a surprise party or something like that. I don't know. Why would you want to spend it by yourself? And I'm going to get into that. I really wanted this day to go smoothly. I wanted to be able to do anything that I wanted to do with ease, without consulting someone first to make sure it was okay, making up a specific time, trying to work around people's schedules. And I didn't really want to do that because I really wanted to focus on myself today and do something and treat myself to something. And sometimes when you're including one or more people into the situation, it gets a lot more difficult to do that. It gets a lot more difficult to stay true to the things that you actually really did want to do. Sometimes people don't want to eat the food that you decided to have on your birthday. They don't like that food, and that causes you to have to change the plans, or they don't want to do the activity that you decided that you wanted to do, or they're unable to do that activity, or they're unavailable at that specific time that you chose. And I feel like that just kind of throws a bunch of monkey wrenches in the plan. Believe me though, I like to go with the flow, but I don't want to not do the things that I want to do just because other people in the group or one other specific person doesn't want to do it, and then I don't experience it, even though it is something that I really do want to do. So that is kind of something that I wanted to avoid. I really wanted to do what it was that I wanted to do and be able to do it with ease, not have issues. Sometimes people aren't in the mood to do something, and I just wanted to have this day and enjoy this day, walk out of this day happy that I enjoyed it, and maybe coming out on the other end with a treat that I treated myself to. I think social media, here we go with social media, I'm so sorry, but I think social media makes you think that you're supposed to be doing everything extravagant on your birthday. You're supposed to have this huge celebration of some sort, maybe not huge, but a celebration of some sort with all of your friends, all of your best friends. They're supposed to come and, celebrate you and celebrate your birthday and bring you gifts and take photos with you and of however you're celebrating it. Post these pictures on their story to make it seem like the most fun experience that anyone has ever had. And if you're not here, you're missing out. I think social media makes you think that that's exactly what you're supposed to do in some way, in some form. And it paints this picture that, if you don't have this and, you're not so cool. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just rambling here, but this is how I feel. And, when you're scrolling on social media and you see someone celebrating their birthday and it looks like this extravagant thing, like they did it up. Like they did it all. They went all out when it came to their birthday. They invited all their closest friends and they had a huge party, and it was fun. It was great. It was perfect. Nothing went wrong. It was wild. It was great. Everything like that. That's what social media, I feel like, makes you think that your birthday is supposed to look like. I don't think it has to look like that at all. And you should be okay with it not looking like that. And we should get more comfortable with it not looking like that. We should get more comfortable with not having a post to post on your birthday. It's okay. I'm not saying that you can't do that. And, if you have a bunch of friends and you happen to have a post, that it's wrong for you to do that. I'm definitely not saying that. But I'm saying that, if you don't have that, don't feel like you're missing out because you don't have a bunch of stories to post, or you don't have anything to show for it. I decided before this day I was going to look on social media. I don't know why I did this, but I wanted to for whatever reason. I went on social media and I looked up on mostly TikTok and YouTube, like a solo birthday or spending my birthday alone. Like these are like the keywords that I looked up on these platforms because I kind of wanted to see what the vibe was. I wanted to see how people were celebrating their birthday alone if they were. And there was definitely a side where, they would be doing self-care. They would take themselves to get their nails done. They would take themselves to get some food that they never get to enjoy. They would take themselves to do something that they enjoy and that makes them happy. And I really did enjoy seeing those videos and seeing that people are able to enjoy time by themselves on a special day, without a huge group of people or having to make it a huge deal, But then I also saw a side where people were doing things like taking a cupcake, a single cupcake, and sticking a candle in it and lighting that candle, singing themselves happy birthday in the dark, and then blowing that candle out, kind of in like a sad theme. And I looked at that and I was like, why do that? If that is something that makes you sad, don't do it. There was this other girl that posted something about the reasons why her birthday makes her sad whenever it rolls around. And it's because it's just a reminder that maybe she doesn't have any friends. She doesn't have many people to celebrate with. She doesn't have anyone to throw her a surprise birthday party or anyone to invite if she were to plan a birthday party. It reminds her of all the new responsibilities that she has as she's getting older and she's becoming an adult, and maybe the social relationships that she doesn't have as she's getting older, and maybe she's feeling a little bit more pressure each year as she's getting older. And she was explaining how all these things remind her that maybe she's a little bit lonely right now, and it makes her not want to celebrate her birthday. It makes her want to sulk and lay around and, get under the covers, and, it makes her sad and makes her anxious and everything like that. I thought about that and I was like, I totally get it. But on this day for myself, I refuse to feel that way. And I think you are in total control about how the day goes and how you feel on the other end of that day. You could do things like, lay around and feel sorry that you don't have any friends to invite this year, and maybe you're not going to have a celebration or of any sort. And it doesn't even have to be for your birthday. It could be about, your graduation or something like that. I don't know. You could lay around and you could be sad and feel sorry for yourself and, not want to do anything and, close the curtains and just lay around and put on a sad movie and do stuff like that. Or you can look at the bright side and do something that'll actually make you happy, actually make you feel fulfilled at the end of it. I chose to do that one. I chose to be happy at the end of it because I wanted to feel happy. I don't ever want to feel like sad or do something that's going to make me sad. So doing something like putting a single candle and a single cupcake and singing myself happy birthday, that's going to make me feel sad. That's going to remind me maybe that like this year, I don't have anyone to celebrate with. I don't have anyone to invite. I don't really want to feel that feeling right now. I want to feel like I enjoyed the day and that I treated myself to something that I didn't treat myself to, and all things like that. So that's what I chose to do. And I think that that's something that you should choose to do if, say, you have a special day coming up and you don't have anything planned, you don't have anyone to invite. Don't sit around and do something that's going to make you feel lonely, okay? Do something that's going to make you feel like you are special, like you're treating yourself to something, and that you're able to enjoy your solitude and being okay with that, coming out on the other end of the day proud of yourself that you were able to celebrate your birthday or your celebration of some sort alone and still be able to be happy. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's that. And I wanted to talk about also the things that I did on this day to kind of keep myself in good spirits, even though, it was a Monday, okay? And people are at work, it's not like it's a Saturday and I'm turning 22. It was a Monday, and, it's kind of like one of those birthdays that are kind of just like, whatever, But I still wanted to do it. I wasn't working that day. I really didn't have like any schoolwork to do, even though classes did start that day for me for my summer semester. They're online, so I could honestly work on them whenever I wanted to. It wasn't a big deal. So I was like, you know what? I don't have to work today. I'm going to enjoy today, okay? And it's going to be fine. So I woke up that morning and I felt good. I didn't feel like I was dreading the day ahead of me. And that was automatically a good feeling. I was glad I didn't feel like that. I got up and I was like, and it was early too. I mean, 7 o'clock. I don't know if that's considered early for other people, but I'm a college student, so 7 o'clock is kind of early. And I got up, I got dressed, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. Listen, the gym might not be an experience that everyone wants to do on their birthday, but listen, I honestly love the gym. I love going to the gym. It makes me feel good inside and out. And I wanted to feel that at the beginning of the day on my birthday. So I got up, put my gym clothes on. I went to the gym. I got out of my car, drove to the gym, and I started working out. I did my little weight training exercises, weightlifting. I worked on arms, and I honestly enjoyed my session. I really did. It was an hour or so, and that was that. I enjoyed that. Then I went home, and at this point, I'm like, okay, I know I want to go do something. What am I going to go do? And I decided that I was going to go to an outlet shopping center that I don't usually go to because it's kind of far away from my house, and I don't usually drive there because I'm like, it's not worth it. Let me not go. But today I was like, you know what? It's worth it. Let's do a mini shopping spree. Let's get something that'll, make you feel fulfilled. So that's what I did. I put on an outfit that I felt good in that day, and I did my hair. I took it out of a twist out, and I was really liking it. I did my makeup in a way that made me feel pretty. I don't know. I did all these certain things just to make me feel good. But before I even got there, I was like, hey, doesn't Starbucks do that free drink on your birthday? And then I was like, oh wait, I don't have the app. I'm pretty sure you have to have a rewards app to have access to that free drink or whatever. But I was like, you know what? Let's try. So I go there and I walk in the store and I'm like, do you need to have the Starbucks app to get the free birthday drink? And they were like, no, we don't really care. Just show us your ID and, we'll give you the free drink. And I was like, awesome, perfect. So I ordered my drink and it was free and they wrote happy birthday on it. And I was like, okay, cool, good start. Nice start to the day. But anyway, after Starbucks, I got in the car and I started driving to this place. And on this day, it was kind of hot, but it was breezy. The sun was out. It was a beautiful day. And I get there, it was like an hour away. I got out of the car and I went to Barnes & Noble first because it was in this shopping center. So I go to Barnes & Noble and I'm looking around and I'm really interested in books right now. Like I really want to be able to read multiple books a year. I don't know why I don't do this in the first place, okay? I think reading is amazing. It's a great thing. And I'm getting tired of the feeling of not having a favorite book off the top of my head. Like what if someone comes up to me and asks me, what's my favorite book? Or what are you reading right now? I don't have an answer. Okay. And I want to have an answer. I want to be able to tell you what my favorite book is or what, I'm reading right now. So I was like, you know what? Let me go get a book. Let me go look at a book. Let's see if there's any books that I'm interested in. And I go there drinking my Starbucks and I'm walking around the store, looking at the fiction section, the self-growth section, the romance section, the poetry section. I was just looking all around to see if there was anything that caught my eye. And there was this one book, I don't know, that I was interested in for whatever reason. I can't remember why I'm interested in it, but it's called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I don't know. I don't know why I was so interested in it. I saw it. I liked the cover. I opened it. I looked at the description of the book and I was like, oh, that seems pretty interesting. Let me go get it. Anyway, I was about to get it. I didn't get it, but a few days later, I did get it. I have it now. Anyway, moving on. I didn't get anything, but I wrote the name of some books down that I want to purchase in the future. I did purchase a couple of them and reading them now. So anyway, after that, I started doing a little bit of shopping. I went into my first store, and I don't know if anyone else experiences this, but when you go, if you're going on a day of shopping, like for clothing or whatever, and you get into the first store and you can't find anything, that usually means for me that I'm going to have a bad shopping day. Like the next stores, I'm not going to be able to find anything. But if I go in that first store and I pick up something immediately and I start picking up things and it's going good, that means I'm going to have a good shopping day. I'm going to go into the next few stores and be able to pick up things easily and see the potential in a piece of clothing that maybe I normally wouldn't buy, or I'm a little bit more open-minded when I get to that first store and I'm able to pick up something immediately. That's how it works for me. But that's how it went on this day. I picked up something immediately and I was really excited about it. I bought it and then I kept going. I kept shopping at the stores that I wanted to go to and it was really good. I got some sneakers that I really wanted. But after the whole shopping experience, I wanted to try some food that I never tried before. And I went to this place that makes like these sushi burritos. And if you don't know what it is, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's basically a sushi roll that is a little bit thicker than a normal sushi roll. And it's cut like in half like a burrito. And you kind of eat it like a burrito, It was delicious. I didn't even expect it to be that good. I just really wanted to try it because it seemed cool. So I did that. That worked out perfectly fine. There was no line. It was perfectly fine. After that, I wanted to go to Crumbl Cookies because I really liked the flavors that they were offering this week. And I drove like a little bit. It was like 15 minutes away from that place. And I got some Crumbl Cookies. And that was delicious as well. Like, I don't know. It was perfectly fine because I was doing everything that I wanted to do and I didn't have to consult someone first before going to these places. I didn't have to be like, hey, is it okay if we go over here to blah blah blah, just because I really want to go and get these little cookies. It might sound stupid, but blah blah blah. I could work on my own time. I could browse the stores on my own time. I didn't have someone that didn't want to be looking in that store that I was looking at. I could look at it for as long as I wanted to. I can spend as much time as I wanted to. I can go in the corniest stores that I wanted to go into. Whatever. You get my point. I could do whatever I want. And I was running on my own time. And I wasn't running on anyone else's time. And I was able to do it. And with that, I felt a lot of comfort and ease. And that's kind of all I want on that day. That's all I want for my birthday, is just comfort and ease. Okay? I don't want any stress. I was able to do all that. It went smoothly. Yeah, later in the day, I went home and I spent my birthday with my family. But, for the majority of the day, I was by myself. And I felt really, really good at the end of the day. And I was proud of myself, actually, because I was able to go through this day, spend it alone, and still feel happy. I didn't feel lonely, and I didn't feel like I was deprived of social interaction in any way. It felt good, and I felt confident. I felt okay. It was good. I didn't feel like I was missing out on something. I didn't take a whole bunch of pictures. I didn't have to because, it's just a day spending by yourself, I took a few pictures of myself, but that's basically it. I didn't have a whole bunch of stuff to post on my story. I didn't feel the stress of having to do that. And I wasn't thinking about social media really. I was thinking about maybe like posting a TikTok or talking about this in my podcast episode. So I was kind of paying close attention to my feelings, maybe how I was feeling throughout the day, just so that I could talk about it in the podcast. For the most part, I felt really stress-free. I didn't feel like I was obligated to post or to take a bunch of photos of myself or, of the situation. I felt okay, and that's really all I could ask for. So if you have maybe a day coming up that's kind of special to you and you don't know exactly what to do, the days are getting closer and closer to this event or this thing, this special day, and you don't have anything planned, you don't have anyone to invite, you don't know what to do, maybe you can do some of these things that I'm about to list, because these are things that I think I would do. One, you could go on a shopping spree. Like, you could take yourself shopping, get something that you don't usually get. I think that's always a bit fulfilling. Like, you always wanted this pair of shoes, but you always walked past it and you're like, next time. Get those pair of shoes this time. Or that purse that you wanted that's maybe a little bit expensive. Just get it. Get it for your birthday, Take yourself to get some food that you never tried before, or that you always want to eat but you never get to because you're always with someone that doesn't like this food. Do that, Maybe even sit in the restaurant and have it, but I could argue that might make you feel lonely. Maybe not, I don't know. Or you can just take it home and enjoy it while watching one of your favorite shows or rewatching a favorite movie of yours. I don't know. You could do something like that. You could go to the movies. I don't think going to the movies by yourself is that lonely, honestly, because you're just watching a movie. I mean, you would normally watch a movie by yourself, right? I mean, unless you have someone to watch a movie with, but a lot of times I feel like you're watching a movie by yourself when you're at home. So, watching a movie by yourself at the movies should not be lonely. You're in the dark, you're chilling, like, who cares? I really like coffee shops. So I would almost like go to a coffee shop, get like a nice hot coffee in one of their mugs and with a latte art on it, pull out a book, read it, enjoy that, pull out your laptop maybe, write a little bit, I don't know, do something like that. What else could you do? Get your nails done. Go get your nails done. I don't know. Do something like that. Treat yourself to a manicure / pedicure. I don't know. Go to the spa. Get a massage. Get a facial. Go get yourself some new makeup that you've always wanted to buy, but you never did because it was too expensive, or you just always passed it and you were like, maybe next time. Or some perfume or something. I don't know. These are the things that I think about. Go to a museum. I think going to a museum would be cool if you're that type of person. A bookstore. I love bookstore vibes. I really do. Go to a bookstore. Find yourself a book and read it. Maybe purchase it. Sit down, have a coffee with it, or a tea, or a matcha, whatever is your vibe. But yeah, those are some things that you can do to occupy yourself on your birthday without feeling like you are missing out on some sort of experience that social media makes you think you're supposed to have, okay? You should really honestly do whatever makes you feel good in that day. Sometimes spending time with a bunch of different people or a bunch of people at one time, on your birthday, it doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel great at the end, okay? Sometimes it can. I'm not saying that it can't. But other times, it makes you feel like, what was that? But anyway. My point here is, for one, don't let social media make you think that you're supposed to have this specific experience on a special day just because that's what looks like is the most fun. That's what looks like is the coolest thing to do. It doesn't have to be the coolest thing. All it has to be is something that you enjoy genuinely, that makes you happy, that makes you feel most fulfilled in the end. That's what I think is most important. And also, don't let other people make you feel like that, spending your birthday alone is a bad thing. Don't let anyone make you think that spending any time alone is a bad thing. I feel like spending time by yourself is great. And if you can spend a special day by yourself, bonus points. If you're able to do that and come out the other end of the day feeling proud and happy and okay, like you did something for yourself, I feel like that's great. And no one should make you feel like that's a negative thing, and don't let them, because maybe they feel like they can't do that and they're kind of projecting that on you. If they ask you, like, why would you want to spend your birthday by yourself? That seems sad. Maybe that person doesn't know how to spend their birthday by themselves, and you being able to do that might look kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like just do whatever makes you happy. You don't be afraid to not post on social media. It's okay to not have a whole, bunch of story posts to post on your story or whatever, and videos and clips of, you hanging out with a bunch of people. Don't be afraid to, refrain from that. It's okay to not have a bunch of posts. Do whatever makes you happy. Do what makes you feel most fulfilled on these days. And don't let anyone else make you feel like you're supposed to have a specific experience. Just do you. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about this experience because it was one of my introvert experiences that I'm really proud of, and I'm happy that I did. I hope maybe this can inspire you to do some more things by yourself and be okay with doing things by yourself, and to not miss out on things just because you don't have anyone to do it with, if you know what I mean. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for listening. I'm done. I digress. If you want to follow me on my podcast socials, my Instagram is at Introverts Talk 2, and my TikTok is at Introverts Talk 2 Podcast. I would love if you check those out and followed those. I post more frequently on TikTok, but I'm trying to get both of them kind of more on track. Again, thanks for listening, and I hope to have you listening to the next podcast episode. And I hope you have a wonderful day. All right, bye.